The stakes for the 2020 election have gotten even higher since we spoke last. So, why are you voting? Hey, it's Elliot. You know, casting a ballot is something we all take for granted occasionally. Then again, sometimes it becomes so important we just can't ignore it. But what if you were denied that right? How would you feel? Well, Billy Hayes knows that answer. In 1970, a 23-year-old Hayes was caught carrying 4 pounds of hashish out of Turkey. Arrested, tried, convicted to 4 years in prison, his sentence was eventually expanded to life. Then after enduring 5 years of brutal treatment in a Turkish prison, Hayes escaped. An ordeal dramatized in the 1978 film Midnight Express starring Brad Davis. Hayes' latest tale of that journey is in his one-man show called Riding the Midnight Express with Billy Hayes.
And I look out the window at Turkish soldiers with rifles surrounding the plane. They drag me into this stuffy, smoky room at the airport full of soldiers and cops. They yank my sweater off and rip the hash from under my arms, rip the hash from around my waist. This burly guard takes me away from the rest of the guys, leads me down a long concrete hallway. We stop in front of one gray steel door. It's slid open. I'm shoved in the door, clang shut behind me. And I'm in my new home.
Oh boy. Billy Hayes joins us now from his home somewhere in the Western Tier. Billy, how are you?
Pretty good. Thank you, Elliot.
Billy, thanks you so much for joining us today. You know, just an incredible story. Many of us have seen it. You've been telling the story now for some time, and you've got a new book coming out, I understand. Tell me about it. What's the name? What's it all about? When can we expect it?
It's Midnight Express Epilogue. You know, over the years, I have been keeping track of various stories and things I've been doing, and they've been piling up. And now during the pandemic, we're certainly not doing any theater. So this is a chance for me to put all of those stories together into what I hope is sort of a capstone of the 3 books that I've written about my strange tale. And we're hoping to be out. We self-publish, of course, like most people these days. My wife is my editor. That's an interesting experience, I got to tell you. And we hope to be published sometime maybe towards the end of October.
Okay.
But, you know, there's all those factors in between.
All right, so it's coming up really soon, like in, from the time of this taping, in another month or so.
I hope so. Maybe a little longer, depending on how. You know, I keep writing it, and then Wendy will look at it and say, you need this, or if you say that, we need this. So I keep adding more and more. And now I'm sort of lost in the midst of it. And I have to bring it all together before we publish. Let's see what happens.
Sure. Well, you've been telling the story now for what, about 4 decades? Yeah. Is there anything in regards to your one-man show, Riding the Midnight Express with Billy Hayes, is there anything new that you've learned about that ordeal or about yourself?
Well, about myself, I learn something literally every show because it is who I am. It's what I have to offer to the world these years. And I'm so privileged as an actor to be able to keep doing something that I care so much about. Mm-hmm. Normally you do a show, and even with the best of runs, it's finished, it's over, and it's done. With this show, when it's done somewhere, a week or two, a couple of months, I'm somewhere else, and we're doing it in another country. So I get a chance to keep doing it. And what I have discovered is that from the audience, because when I finish the show, I do about a 20-minute Q&A after every performance. And I've found that people all relate to this story because everyone has been down in a dark hole somewhere in their lives, struggling to get out and find the light. My story happens to be a little more compact and dramatic, but people know this is their story to some degree, and they relate to my experience. And the fact that I was such a fool and threw away my life, literally, and caused all the people who loved me so much pain because of what I did, not thinking. And suddenly I realized not only have I put myself in prison, but I put my family in prison. My mother goes to sleep every night because of me. Those kind of realities forced me as a 23, 24, 25-year-old kid to wake up and reassess my life. And the the things I took for granted, which is essentially everything prior to getting arrested. Life was so easy for me in the United States. Sports, and I grew up in a lovely middle-class family. I had virtually everything I could need. I didn't even realize the little things I took for granted, that suddenly they weren't to be taken for granted anymore. We're talking about the ability to vote. I turned 21 in 1967. I got to vote for Hubert Humphrey in 1968. It was my first chance to cast my ballot.
But then, of course, again, as you said, you were denied that right for a while. What kind of perspective did that put on you as you were going forward in life and voting through other presidential elections?
Well, knowing what I lost in 1968, which was the ballot to get Humphrey on the, the election to get Humphrey on the ballot, and suddenly we have Nixon, and we have what is, not the period of the United States that I'm happiest about. I was away. People were asking me, Spiro Agnew was resigning, and I have all these foreigners in prison in Turkey saying, what is going on with your country in the United States? It's like, I don't know. I haven't been there in 5 years. It's like reading Looney Tunes or Daffy Ducks to see what Spiro Agnew and Richard Nixon were doing. So when I did get out, when I did come home, not only did I appreciate the fact that I can vote and I need to vote, because everything that affects my very personally day-to-day life is based upon our government and our vote and what we do with it. Mm-hmm. Then there's the small things, the fact that you can get up and walk out a door. I couldn't do that in jail. The fact that you can get away from people and be by yourself somewhere. You can't do that in prison. There's 80 guys around you 24/7. Those little things about life that I so took for granted are multiplied now where we are in this country with what's happening with our politics and what you can't take for granted, because everything that we care about, that I care about right now, the Constitution and the rule of law and the separation of church and state, they're all under threat in this current election.
Mm-hmm. And I ask this almost of everyone who's come through here to tell their story about how they voted and why they continue to vote. We all hear this from a number of people who say, well, my vote doesn't count, or I'm not really happy with any of the candidates. I'm just not going to go out to vote. I'm sure you've encountered them as well. Based on the experiences that you had and what you've learned from it, what do you tell these people to try and get them to turn that attitude around?
People have fought and died for the right to vote, so we can determine what our country looks like and what our rules are. And the fact that you don't think you really even need to go, well, I'm actually disgusted with people like that, because you're just letting it go. You're dropping everything, and what you get is what you deserve. And if you don't care about anybody else, that's pretty much what you're going to get with the government that's going to rule your life on a daily basis for the next at least 4 years until the next election. Mm-hmm. So please don't take things for granted. Don't think that you don't have a power to affect things here. In the blue wave of the midterms in 2018, the power of our vote was evident. We changed what was happening in the government from 16 to 18. And I think we need to change it again in 43, 42, 41 days and take back our country. Because I think we're at the edge of losing it right now.
Absolutely. And we tell people all the time, it's, you don't just have to vote on November 3rd. You've got a number of options to do this year. And frankly, a lot of people have found that they've got to plan their vote. Yes. Have you done so already? You plan to vote on the 3rd? What's your plan for this year?
I live in Nevada. We have mail-in ballots, which I've used virtually every year for I don't know how long now. I think this year I'm going to take my mail-in ballot, and there are places you can drop it off prior to election and not actually put it through the post office, which is burdened and stressed and under such attack right now that I think I'm going to take my mail-in ballot, fill it out, and drop it into one of the post drops that we have. Or, well, I don't know exactly where it is yet, but I will find it. I have friends who will inform me, you go to this corner and there it is, and there's where you drop it. And I want to hand drop it into the box. I might even hold out and stand in line and vote. I mean, there's so much COVID going on, but I've got my masks and I've got my immune system. And, I'm 73, but I foolishly think that I'm not going to catch COVID because I'm healthy and I do yoga every day for 50 years. I stand on my head for 3 minutes a day, which really strengthens your immune system. And I have a Pollyanna view about life, which my wife constantly reminds me of. And I don't think I'm going to catch anything. But if I had to, I'd stand in line and catch anything I had to get my vote cast. It counts on November 3rd.
Well, good for you. And we hope other people will follow suit and do the same. Billy Hayes, thank you so very much for joining us here this afternoon. Good luck and all the best going forward. Good luck on the book, and we'll look forward to it.
Thank you, Ellie. We'll talk some more. Please keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you, Billy.
All right.
Bet.
All the best.
Remember, plan your vote. November 3rd is not your first chance to vote. In many ways, it's your last chance. So I'll be leaving some links in the comments below to help you cast your ballot conveniently and safely. Remember to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, then go vote today. Vote in person, vote by mail if you have to, vote early if you can, but please go vote.